Hi Stephen, lovely to finally meet you and get the chance to work on your game. I've put together 2 recaps for you here, this being the first obviously, just to cover or try and cover all bases in regards to what we did during your visit. We'll take a little look at the top left. This was your original swing. I mean, the first thing we tried to do was improve your setup position P1 and reduce the emphasis on the amount of turn during the backswing. We were setting up with both feet very square. And we were also, if we look down here or up here on the top right, we were quite close to the ball. The right leg you'd purposely straightened off to help facilitate some moves in your swing that you found beneficial. But the first thing we wanted to talk about was improving the setup. So we've got, you see on the bottom left, you can see that both feet are turned out more. That's going to help realign the knees, free up the hips, and improve your ability to work the body properly during the backswing. And we've also, you can see on the bottom right, we've now got the arms angled out slightly. They're still beneath your shoulders, but instead of hanging sort of downwards and almost inwards like we see here, if we go shoulder to wrist, they're now angling outwards just a fraction, and that just helps you work the arms in a little bit more. You won't see it in this footage because we weren't really focusing on that piece during the end of your session, if you will, so we still want to tidy that up maybe next time you visit. But for now, we've got both feet turned out a little bit more to help with stability and the mechanics of the swing. And we've got the handle a little bit lower and the arms a little bit more outstretched, and again, that's just giving you a little bit more room and helping you line up the swing a little bit better. When you made the change with the handle and the arms, the direction of the swing, which was well out to the right, started to reduce. Before we even worked on anything else, it started to reduce. We've also here on the top left got a huge emphasis on the amount of the turn during the backswing. You can see here really a lot of turning there late in the backswing. So from sort of P3 when the left arm's parallel to P4 at the top, a huge emphasis on turn, and you can see that left knee starts to work across towards the right far too much, and that has the effect, when you look at it from down the line, of flattening the arms swing out. You can see the arms lower than the shoulders at that point, and also positioning the club across the line. And again, these are all things that are typical of someone whose swing direction is well out to the right. Start of the session, the swing direction was some 11 degrees out to the right with an iron, which is far too much and creates problems, as you saw, in regards to the controlling of your low point. So the feet turned out a little bit more and the handle lower and a little bit more flex forward in the hips. Started to see a little bit less emphasis on the turn, much better leg work. You can see the left knee's not worked in towards the left as much. Remember what the left knee should be doing. It should be working towards the ball to target line and in towards the right knee at a steady rate. So the idea of the left knee never working inwards is false. It's the turning of the hips is going to bring the left knee in. But for the player who turns the hips more, the left knee needs to continue to flex forward for longer, and it's just offsetting the turning action during the golf swing. You see there much less emphasis on the turn. One of the key moments was when we talked about making a backswing with no turn, and you can see here in the middle, this is you making a backswing with no turn. Now the question I would have here is, you know, as I put in there in sort of tongue-in-cheek, is it? There's certainly a lot of turn going on there. There's a lot of extension as well. And what you're seeing sometimes from here to here is the stretching out of the spine more than the emphasis being on turn. But look at the difference in the leg work on the centre footage compared to the top left. So much less emphasis on the turn during the backswing. And when you look at it from down the line, we've got the handle lower, we've got the arms out more, we've got both feet flared out more. We've reintroduced the flex in the right knee. The key thing here is less emphasis on turn. This is one of the rehearsal swing. Backswing with no turn. And you can see the effect that has on the golf club. I appreciate this with a driving on an iron, so this should be more difficult. Shaft of the club more in line. Arms swinging slightly more upright than the shoulders, as opposed to flatter than the shoulders. And that in turn is going to have a swing direction, or help create a swing direction, that rather than being way out here to the right, is a little bit more in line. And we'll just get rid of those lines for you. The feeling from there then, which I'll come to in your next recap, was to return to forward flexion, which in turn will do a beautiful position there at the top. And as you return to forward flexion in the early part of the downswing, get some flex back in the knee, get some flex back in the pelvis, and start to get the shoulders aligned up. You can see how much better, or how much differently, the shaft starts to align coming into impact. So here we've got a swing that's directed well out to the right, and this player is going to have a more inline swing coming into the golf ball. So that's the rehearsal, that's the feel. When we look at it in real life, we see a little bit more of everything we've just been observing. So we can see slightly higher arm position, slightly better shaft alignment. Late on there, you just go looking for that turning feeling late in the swing. But the more you do this, the more familiar you're going to get with the position that you're looking for. As you start down, we start to see a little bit more flex getting back in the right, a lot more flex getting back in the right leg. And at P6 now we have a club that is much less stuck behind us. So here, if I take a line down from the centre of the club, as opposed to where it was at the start of your session. As I said before, with a driver this should be more difficult. Attacking the ball substantially from the inside, less from the inside. Look how much more lined up the shoulders are at impact. Find my magnifying glass, excuse me one sec. Shoulder condition versus shoulder condition. You can see there clearly that the guy on the top right is going to be hitting or directing the swing well out to the right because of the alignment of the shoulders, whereas the guy in the centre on the bottom right is going to have a much more, as you did, a much more inline swing condition. Shoulders lining up much better at impact. So a great start working on improving your setup position, improving P1, and then also creating a backswing that has less emphasis on the turn, so that at P4, the top of the backswing, we're in a much more inline position. The idea of flexing forward at the start of your downswing, I'll cover a little bit more detail in your subsequent recap.